Good morning and welcome to my show. I'm your host, Danny Graham, and I both invite and encourage you to walk with me on the road to wisdom. Come on, let's walk. Good morning and welcome to the 233rd episode of my show, The Road to Wisdom. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today's topic, I hope, will be something that people will listen to and really apply it because right now this is like day 3 or 4 after the election, and there are a lot of people in our country that are hurting. There are a lot of people that are mad and angry. On the other hand, there are a lot of people that are happy and a lot of people that are very pleased with the outcome. I'm mainly talking to the ones that aren't happy with this outcome. And today, as you can see, the topic I got below is called acceptance can be hard. Let me say it one more time. Acceptance can be hard, especially when you're trying to accept something that you didn't want to happen or you think is, some people say this got to be a dream, this is a bad nightmare, whatever the case may be. But when you finally sit down and realize that what you didn't want to happen and what you tried so hard not to happen, then trying to accept that can be very hard. But I'm going to ask you to just look at it through the lens that I'm looking at. And the main lens that I'm looking at this whole situation with the election is that God is still in control. No matter who voted for President Trump, whether it would have been President Harris, we can't let our anger, our disappointment, our disbelief cloud the fact that God is still on the throne. God is the Alpha, He is the Omega. Some people think that the world is crashing down, it's going to end, it's going to be World War III, it's going to be all this kind of crazy stuff. And then on the opposite end of that spectrum, some people think that this is the best thing that's happened. Some people are actually acting like to me that He is the Messiah, which is the furthest thing from the truth. But if you look deep into the word acceptance, the definition of acceptance is taking something given to you, acknowledging that, admitting that it happened, eventually approving of it, being in compliance with it, consensual, cooperation, and you got to recognize. Now, the biblical meaning of acceptance is the act of embracing others as they are, offering love, forgiveness, and grace. That's what I want to. That's what I want to really to tune in on. That's what I want to talk about. We as Christians, we as believers, even we as non-believers, we as Americans, we as a people, we are as an intelligent human race must focus on the fact that we must embrace our new president. There are some people that are saying that if he comes to office, that they're going to move out the country. There have been several famous actors and actresses that said that. I was looking on the internet and when I heard this, and just a list of them, a short list, there's many, many more. But the artist Pink said she's going to move, or made that statement at one time. John Legend did as well. Robert De Niro feels very strongly about President Trump becoming elected. Lady Gaga, Sharon Stone, Cher, Barbara Streisand, Mandy Moore, Christina Applegate. Christina Applegate, on her Instagram, she just pretty much said anybody that vote for him, she wants them to stop following her because she just can't believe it. Going to the very extreme because they're acting like to me, and I don't know their faith or not, that they're not believers. If you go back to the Bible, there were several people that were flawed, but God uses flawed people to move His purpose. God uses flawed people in His plan. God has changed a lot of flawed people in the Bible. Who's to say that God is not using Donald Trump to do his purpose? Who's to say that if you're a Christian and a believer, that God is not touching and changing and transforming Donald Trump's heart? There was no bigger person that was a persecutor of Christians than Saul was. Saul was going on the road to Damascus. He had to go persecute, hunt down, and destroy Christians. And what did God do? Blinding light. Told him where to go. Told him to change his name from Saul to Paul. He became one of God's biggest disciples, healers, preachers, teachers. Was very profound in his belief in Christianity. So you can't tell me that President-elect Trump is more sinful than Saul was before he became Paul. If God can do it back then, he can do it now. But we are so wrapped up in our emotions. We are so stirred up because there's a certain demographic that believes that he's going to destroy them. There's people saying about women not having the right to do with their bodies. They're upset about that. They're upset about things that, to me as a believer, that they shouldn't be worrying about. That they should be praying to God and asking God to give them the strength, or asking God to fix this. I know a lot of people are going to say, Danny, I ain't trying to hear that religion stuff. This is the real world. This is that. That's your prerogative. And in the same breath, my prerogative is to believe in God and believe that He is a strong foundation that never changes. I believe wholeheartedly that God can fix any country, any problem, any candidate, any situation. And God could be using President Trump to do something, to set something up that's going to be even more better or beneficial. We don't know. We can't say here 100%. Now, in the past, he has said some crazy and crude things, no doubt. But in my opinion, the other candidate said some crazy things as well. Maybe not as crude, but some crazy things. And if truth be told, I wasn't happy with either candidate. Neither candidate, in my opinion, was the right person for the job. But like I said, God can use flawed people for his purposes. God can elevate any person to their greatness and to their potential. Or at the same time, if he can give them the opportunity to do the right thing, and if they don't do it, he can remove that person and move them out of the way. The same way he did King Saul, he tried to give King Saul in the Bible opportunity to do the right thing, being the first king of the Israelites. But he didn't. So what did he do? He sent out one of his prophets to go and seek someone else. And eventually he replaced that king with another king by the name of David. So God could be giving the president an opportunity to do the right thing. And if he doesn't do it, we don't know what God has in plan. And maybe the vice president is a more godly man or a better leader than what's currently in office now, than Mr. Trump, who will be in office here in a couple of months, who will be sworn in as our president of the United States. So people may ask, well, Danny, I just don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with his policy. I don't agree with his platform. And how do I accept something that I totally am 1,000% against and so disgusted by it? Well, you must be willing to listen to, learn from, touch, or embrace someone who may not believe or see things the way that you do. That's how you that's how you show acceptance. Is that going to be easy? Probably not. Are you going to have to do a lot of praying? Most definitely. Are you going to have to look at the big picture instead of looking at the pain and disgust that you think that may happen? Most definitely. Is this going to be easy for some? It's not. It's not meant to be easy because, like I always say, God teaches and He tests us at all times. This right here could be one of the biggest tests for Christians or biggest test for non-believers. This could be a situation that God is putting in your life so that you will come to Him. God wants us all, believer, saint, and sinner, to come to Him and ask Him for help. Ask Him for discernment. Ask Him for peace. Ask Him for a clear mind. Ask Him to do the right thing that would be pleasing to Him, not pleasing to yourself, but pleasing to God. I know that a lot of you are seething right now. I know a lot of you are pissed off, you're disappointed, you're in a state of unbelief because of the election, but it has happened. There's nothing that can be done about it. So instead of going around pissed off, threatening to leave your country, threatening to do this, threatening to do that, I saw a video yesterday where this woman said that she thought that men um, won this election, and now she's going to start treating every man that she encounters bad. Now, what sense does that make? To me, that is crazy. That is crazy. But some people are going to the extreme because they didn't get their way, because the vote that were cast didn't go their way. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be ticked off, but you can't let that consume your thoughts. You can't let that dictate your actions. Because when you start doing that kind of stuff, then that's going to lead you down a path that's not going to be a positive path. That's going to change you from being a person that believes things are, the cup is half full to the cup is half empty. And I know that some of these people that are Trump supporters can really rub it in your face and really say things and make America great again. I know that irritates some people. Don't let it irritate you. Just just ask for it, Lord. Just give me a spirit of peace. Give me a spirit of trying to come together. Give me a spirit of trying to pray more and to let God become the center of my life. Let God be in control of this. If we do that, if we all come together and pray for this country and pray for this president and pray for these different issues that's going on across the world, then that is what is pleasing to God. We can do that. The closer you get to God, the more harder the devil's going to try and separate you, because he don't want that. He does not want you to become close to God. So the closer you become to God, the more Satan is going to put strife, craziness, confusion in your life. You gotta fight through that. You gotta pray, ask God to give you strength to get through that. Because if not, you will be consumed. The purpose of acceptance is to help us live in the present moment, work towards our goals, and help to prevent stress. Right now, there's a lot of people in this world that are stressed out because of what they think is going to happen, not because of what they know, because no one can read the future, but because of what they think. I can tell you right now, and I've always said this or in my house and at work and stuff, it's pretty bad when you rather go to the gas station than the grocery store. I hope this president, Trump, whatever he's going to do, I hope one of his agendas is trying to get our economy back on straight. A friend of mine, I guess, who invests in the stock market said the day that he won, the stock market went up. Well, that's a good thing, but I want these groceries to go down. I want this gas to go down. I want the interest rate on houses and materials and things that we need to go down, because this is just crazy, the state that it's in now. That should be stressful. And if this president can do it, I'm all for that. If he can't do it, then God can remove him out the way and put somebody in there that can do it. But you can't try and do it yourself. You can't go in here and make these crazy boastful statements that you're going to do this, you're going to do that. What you should be saying is that I'm going to go in my house, I'm going to go in my car, I'm going to go in my private place, and I'm going to pray that God does his will. If you do that, then that's the correct thing to do, in my opinion. I want to read to you chapter a scripture, and it comes from the book of John, the 15th chapter, the 12th verse. It reads, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you." John 15th chapter, the 12th verse reads, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you." If we start loving one another and treating one another the way God did and the way that Jesus did, that's going to put us in the right frame of mind. That's going to put us in the mindset of accepting these things that have come to pass. Before I got up here, I saw a quote last night, and when I read it, like I always do when I look up quotes about particular topics, this was on acceptance. I said this is very, very prevalent to this conversation, and I think it's something that would hammer the point home about acceptance. It can be hard. It can be hard. I'm not going to sit here and say that accepting some things are easy, but guess what? Accepting some things are extremely hard. But this quote reads as follows: "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." Let me say that one more time. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. And when I think of that, I think of this. If you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, whatever the case may be, and there's something that you don't like that is currently existing, right now, today, each party has 4 years to pray and to prepare someone. So when we go to the polls in 2028 for the president, we don't have to pick the lesser of two evils. How long has this country have been picking candidates with the formula of I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils? It shouldn't be that. When we go to the election in 2028 for the president, we should automatically know who we're going to pick for, because that person is going to be performing. He's going to be groomed. He or she is going to be the person that hands down the whole country knows is the best candidate. Whether what party they're in, it shouldn't matter. But we haven't done that. We haven't done that. We just think somebody come along, something happen, and then when the person that we don't want to get elected comes along and starts being charismatic and raising money and doing stuff, we're like, no, we don't want this person. Or let me see what the Democrats doing. And no, we don't want this person. We don't want this. But guess what? We can't wait till 2028 to start being like, oh, there's no good candidates. Right now, today, if you're in a position of power, far as a mover and a shaker, and you are a Christian, which is definitely a spiritual mover and shaker, we should be praying and trying to actively find somebody and start grooming that person. So when the 2028 election comes, it should be no issues, not even a second guess. Yes, that person right there. That person has the right mindset. That person knows how to talk to people. That person has a good platform. That person is looking to help the whole country, not just a particular demographic in the country. Like I said, neither candidate really impressed me. Some people are like, what? I can't believe just because an individual looks like me, doesn't mean that that person is always the right person for the job. Yes, I said that. And Trump, in my opinion, President Trump, definitely not presidential. Definitely not my first, like, wow, that's the best they could do, that particular party. And if you ask yourself, the Democrats, is that the best that they could do for that particular party? To me, the answer is no. But what I can do as a believer, as a Christian, is start praying and God, please start touching these people's lives. Let these people that are in the position of power surround themselves with people that have your doctrine, your way of thinking, your love, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding to be in their camp and influence them in a positive way. That's what we can pray for. That's what we can hope for. But we got to get past all this anger some of us have and start praying. You start praying and get closer to God, then the acceptance of what's currently the reality will be much more easier to accept. But until then, it just won't. And that saddens me to a certain extent. But that's just my 2 cents on that. Acceptance for things that we don't like can definitely be hard. I get that. Usually I do a song, but I'm not going to do a song. I'm going to show you a funny clip before I get out of here. This is from when I think a YouTuber. His name is Jonathan Bino. Jonathan Bino. I'm going to set up this clip. Sometimes you go to these churches, especially when I lived in California. These choirs, man, they sing these songs. They do a breakdown, and the choir director he'll point and they'll say, "Huh, huh, huh, huh," and they go back and forth. And man, when it's done properly and correctly, it is a thing of beauty. But the first time, this is going to be from the perspective of the pastor seeing this kind of uh, syncopation, I guess you call it, and preciseness of a song done, and it is funny to me. So until next week, next Monday, I'll be back. Y'all have a safe and fantastic weekend. And as always, God bless you.